It must be a good day. This is one of the more energetic press conferences we've had. Welcome all. It is a good day. Congratulations to all the people who worked so long and so hard to get this bill done. And it's a pleasure to be able to celebrate victory and accomplishment and moving forward. I want to thank everyone who worked. This was really a team effort and a group effort. It wouldn't have happened otherwise. So all the advocates who worked so hard, Time's Up did a fantastic, fantastic job. Give Time's Up a round of applause. And we'll start. Let me introduce who's at the table today. To my far right, we have Robbie Kaplan from Time's Up and a great lawyer. Julianne Moore, pleasure to be with you. To my left is Mira Sorvino. It's a pleasure to be with you. And Michelle Hurd. Pleasure, Michelle. And we will have opening comments from Michelle Hurd. Michelle?
Right. Thank you, Governor. I'm so proud to be here today. Thank you so much for this. First, I want to acknowledge my Time's Up community that is here today in no particular order. Rebecca Goldman, Chief Operations Officer, Time's Up. Sonia Osorio, President of NOW-NYC. Esther Chu, MD, MPH. Associate Professor, Oregon Health and Science University. Cindy Levy, journalist. Carmen LeBou, actress and director. Katie McGrath, actress. Kathy Najimy, actress. Alicia Renner, actress, producer. Kate Rigg, comedian. Leslie Silva, Time's Up activist. Amber Tamblyn, author, actress, and director. Tina Chen, lawyer. Nancy Lefkowitz. And you guys know all these people here. Time's Up was founded because millions of women and survivors broke their silence and told their stories about being harassed, assaulted, or discriminated against. Many for the first time in decades, or ever. We now know that it can be incredibly difficult for survivors to come forward when they're assaulted. And while it's hard for even women of tremendous privilege and social standing to come forward, it's all that harder for women of low incomes, women of color, and immigrant women who face greater barriers that make it extremely difficult to come forward. 1 out of every 6 women will be the victim of rape or attempted rape in her lifetime. And we know that in 8 of every 10 cases, the victim actually knew her perpetrator. That's why rape is more often the result of coercion, not just physical force. The vast majority of rapes are second or third degree rapes, where the victim knew her attacker and was coerced into sex. And in the aftermath of assault, so many survivors are afraid to come forward. If and when they do decide to seek justice, frequently they find that the law doesn't allow them to hold their attackers accountable. But not anymore. Today, Governor Cuomo and these state leaders will be taking an historic step to right this wrong and ensure that countless survivors in New York can get the justice they so deserve. No longer will New York State have an unjust expiration date on justice for survivors of rape. Thank you so much again to Governor Cuomo, to all the state legislators who voted for this bill, and to the thousands of Time's Up supporters and survivors who made their voices heard. Today, we made possible because we turned pain into action and passed a law that will take us one step closer to a future where not one more person will ever have to say, "Me too," again.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Very well said. We'll now hear from Mira Sorvino. Mira came to Albany at the beginning of the legislative crusade, and her testimony was so powerful, so impactful, so personal, that it had an impact all throughout the state capitol, and it had a really profound effect on legislators. I know it wasn't easy, but I want to say thank you, because there is nothing like a person who can put the issue in context, and you did that so well by being in Albany. So thank you. Mira Sorvino.
Hello, and thank you, Governor Cuomo, for your extraordinary leadership on this matter. We have such a champion in you, and it is so heartening and beautiful. And to Time's Up, of course, for everything. We wouldn't really be here without you. And to Senator Biaggi and Assemblywoman Simotas and all the legislative action groups, such as the Sexual Harassment Working Group, who also work tirelessly. But, you know, it's also the grassroots support that made this happen. This is the will of the people. The tens of thousands who made their wishes known to their elected representatives. This is democracy working. There is a hunger out there for justice, and we are here to tell all of you who feel that hunger that we are getting closer to that day when predators will not abuse unabated in an atmosphere of impunity, that survivors will be believed and supported. Our actions, our collective demand to be heard, are producing fruits of justice, of possibility. This bill goes a long way towards granting second and third degree rape victims the ability to pursue that justice. I'm here today to tell you that our voices do matter. That decisions which lead you to telling your truth in this painful area are generally very hard, but they're worth it. Not only for you, within you, as you realize that you are worth fighting for, but for all the others waiting for that moment when they too might get up the nerve to break their own dam of silence. Each time one of us stands up to rape culture, we stand up for all of us. And as the numbers swell, so do our results. We are changing things. For our daughters, for our sons, for ourselves, for our elders, for everyone. Because these sexual crimes are indiscriminate. They will be perpetrated in the toniest penthouse, in the dimmest lit back street, the coziest dorm room at the most prestigious university, the furthest back room at the highest government institution, and the most desolate beach. They will affect the poor and the rich, the child and the elderly, people of every color, creed, ethnic group, political affiliation, gender identity, or sexual preference. We are all at risk. The life-changing trauma, the pain, and the shame are the same. So I and we are here to say to survivors, you are not to blame. You are not worthless. You are not less than. You are not dirty or damaged goods. You are not without recourse or support or credibility. You are not without hope. And perhaps most importantly, you are not alone. We are here for you to extend our love and our comfort and our tears and our anger for you. You, the survivors, the strong ones. And we will fight for you until this society does its utmost to protect you and to halt the course of so many men who thought rape and sexual misconduct was their right and privilege. We will do it together for all the phoenixes. We will rise. Please come join us. Thank you very much.
That is beautifully, beautifully said. You can see why Mira had such an impact when she was in Albany. And we wouldn't be here today, I believe, without Mira and the people from Time's Up making this case very personally and very persuasive. Before I sign the bill, the overall fight is for women's equality. And it's almost shocking when you say that, because it forecasts the problem, which is we don't have women's equality. We have widespread inequality. And it's supposed to be 2019, and we're so sophisticated and we're so advanced. We don't have basic equality for women. And it is across the spectrum. It is still a male-dominated society, and these policies and these rules and these laws were written through that prism, and it's pervasive. And it is still a male-dominated society today, whether it's corporate America or political America or financial America. And you see it right across the board. We have inequality in hiring, in the workplace, in discrimination. We're still fighting to protect a woman's right to control her own body. And freedom from sexual assault, freedom from domestic violence, and protection when those situations occur. That's the overall fight. The specific today and the victory today is on rape and sexual assault. And it's not just a change in the law. Mira's point is right. This is a societal acknowledgement of an injustice that went on for a long time. The law said a victim of rape has to bring their claim in 5 years or they lose their right. 5 years is a terribly short period of time if you have any appreciation for what the person went through. A victim of rape has undergone one of the worst traumas imaginable. It is a trauma that can last weeks, months, years, a lifetime of recovery. And to say to a person, well, if you have been so abused and wronged, you have to find a way to make it public and bring the charge, and you better do it within 5 years, compounds the crime. To go public, to bring a charge, you have to get to a point where you are willing to talk about this and relive it time and time again, and then be questioned about it and be judged on it and have your actions scrutinized on it. When for most victims, the last thing they want to do is revisit the trauma and go through it over and over and over again and expose it to the world and family members and go through all of that. What did the 5 years do? It protected the perpetrator. It allowed people immunity. It allowed them to go out and do it again. And I believe it was part of a pattern, deliberate or indeliberate, where it was society's way of covering up the problem. Why? Because society is very good at covering up these deep, chronic flaws that we don't really want to see and come to grips with. Rape and sexual assault is much more common and frequent than we admit. Child abuse is much more common and frequent than we admit. Domestic violence is much more common and frequent than we admit. And I believe this system was designed in a way to protect society so they don't have to acknowledge this problem. That doesn't work. You will never solve a problem in life you are unwilling to admit. And denial is not a life strategy. We've denied this for too long. And what Time's Up has said, and what the victims who have spoken up have said, and what the advocates have said is, enough is enough. We're not going to let you sweep it under the carpet anymore. It's been a pervasive, dark secret in society that nobody's wanted to acknowledge. It is a chronic problem, and we acknowledge it today. So we changed the law from 5 years for rape 2 to 20 years and rape in the third to 10 years, which now give people an appropriate amount of time to deal with the issue and then decide whether or not they want to come forward and pursue charges. But it doesn't take that right away from them. It ends a law that is in place for many, many years. But as I said in the beginning, it's a societal acknowledgement that says to victims all across the state and all across this nation, we hear you, we believe you, and we will stand with you, And we condemn this behavior as strongly as you do. And we say that as a society. We all condemn this behavior and say no more, not here, and New York is the first state and the strongest state to say it.
Sorry.
That's for me, actually.
It's my brother, I'm sorry.
Brothers
so
always do
sorry.
that. Again, I'll end where I started. We wouldn't be here without the people in this room. Change comes hard, even when it's right. Even when it's right, change is still hard to accomplish. And it takes committed people who have the courage to stand up and make the case even when it's hard. And this was hard for many people on a personal level, to get up and tell their story. And you have my deepest respect for what you've done. And you have made the world better for other people. So God bless you. We'll take some on-topic questions from the press. I will then stay behind and do off-topics, but are there any on-topic questions?
We've heard a lot about legislation that kind of had been bottled up the last several years because Republicans controlled the Senate. Was this one of them? Was this on the sort of Democratic list?
Yes.
Governor,
Short answer, yes. I'll give you the long answer if you want, but the short one is actually good.
The Manhattan DA urged you in a letter to support this very bill, and in that same letter, he asked you to close what he called a loophole. He called the voluntary intoxication loophole, which he says makes it difficult for prosecutors to hold rapists accountable when the victims have when they've drunk too much and when they're intoxicated. Do you support closing the voluntary intoxication loophole?
Yeah, that is something we're looking at very seriously to propose in January.
Governor, can you explain what the difference is, without getting too nuanced, the difference between second and third degree sexual assault? And also, if I could ask this more, because we didn't hear from you, just the reason why you're here today also?
Please.
I'm here as a member of Time's Up. I think when New York Time's Up formed, we realized that our agenda was going to be very different from California, and that California, where it was first formed, was a more progressive state. And so as we started our meetings, we talked about what we could do to change policy in New York, and we're very happy that the Time's Up safety agenda is being signed into a bill today.
And difference, Governor?
Difference is basically culpability and relationship. On rape 1, it is intentional, period. There are no mitigating circumstances. There is no statute of limitations. On rape 2, the statute of limitations was 5 years. That now goes to 20. Rape 3, it was 5 years. It goes to 10. And we can give you the definition of each one afterwards. Anything else on topic? Okay, then let's sign the bill. I'm going to start. You think it's easy to sign a bill? Do you know how this works? Yes, because these are signing pens that these are ceremonial signing pens. Why don't we slide you over? Do you mind? I'm going to pull you in a little bit. These are ceremonial signing pens. Yes. Well, it depends how many pens they give you. But they were to be an official signing pen. Congratulations.